The backyard lights glowed warm and golden that evening, the kind of glow that made other families look happy. Music played from the speakers Dad had rented, laughter floated through the air, and my sister Ava twirled in her expensive pink dress as if she were the only thing worth celebrating. She probably was, in their eyes. I stood at the edge of the crowd, holding the paper plates Mom had thrown at me earlier. "You can at least make yourself useful, can't you?" she had snapped when I dared to sit down. So I passed out slices of cake, refilled drinks, and listened to them toast Ava like she'd just cured world hunger. 25 and engaged to a doctor, Mom bragged to the neighbors, her voice sugar-coated with pride. "She's everything we ever dreamed of." When someone asked where I was working now, Mom didn't even flinch. She answered for me, "Oh, she's doing whatever people without degrees do." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. I had a degree. I'd graduated 2 years before Ava, but I didn't get a party for it. I got silence. And debt. I glanced over to my little boy, Liam, sitting near the fence, playing quietly with a broken balloon. He was 7, wearing the same shoes he'd had for 6 months. I'd patched the sides myself. Every now and then, he looked up at Ava's cake and whispered, "It looks good, Mom." When I brought him a tiny corner piece, Mom noticed. "Hey, don't give him that," she barked. "He's not a guest." I froze. The laughter stopped. Everyone looked at us. "Mom," I said softly, "he's your grandson." Her wine glass tilted slightly as she smirked. "He's your consequence. Don't mix him with family." Ava burst out laughing, clutching her fiancé's arm. "You heard her, sis? Family only tonight." My chest tightened. I set the plate down. "Fine, we'll go." But as I turned, Dad's voice cut through. "You'll go when we say you can go. You still haven't helped clean up." "I'm not a maid, Dad," I said, trembling but firm. Mom's smile vanished. Her eyes went dark, the kind of darkness I knew too well. "What did you just say?" "I said I'm not your servant. I came because you invited me." She laughed then, a hollow, ugly laugh. "You think you're invited here because we want you?" She waved her hand toward the fence. "Go stand there. You're making the guests uncomfortable." I thought she was joking until she grabbed my wrist. "Mom, stop!" I gasped, but she pulled me to the backyard fence, the wood biting into my back. "Hold her!" she ordered Dad. Before I could react, they tied my wrists loosely with one of the decorative ribbons. "There," Mom said, stepping back to admire her work. "Now you look like part of the decor," people whispered. Some laughed. I heard Ava's fiancé say, "Is this a joke?" Ava giggled and grabbed a piece of bread from the table. "Here you go, little animal," she said, tossing it at me. It hit my shoulder and fell to the grass. Liam started crying. "Stop! Don't hurt Mommy." Mom turned toward him, her expression unbothered. "If she didn't act like trash, we wouldn't treat her like it." Something inside me snapped, not like a scream, not a cry, but quiet. I stopped struggling. I looked right at her, straight into her eyes, and whispered, "I'll remember this." Mom leaned close enough for me to smell the wine on her breath. "Good," she said. "Maybe next time you'll learn where you belong." Dad finally untied me an hour later after everyone had left. I took Liam's hand, walked out the gate, and didn't look back. That night, I didn't sleep. I watched my son's chest rise and fall, my wrists still red from the ribbon. In the silence, I promised myself something. Not revenge in the poetic sense, but something more deliberate, something they'd never see coming. I thought about how much they valued appearances, how obsessed they were with reputation, money, and their precious family image. They'd humiliated me in front of people to protect that image. So maybe, I thought, it was time I used that obsession against them. I opened my laptop. Slowly, methodically, I began typing, searching, documenting, remembering every dirty secret they'd tried to bury. Dad's investment club that scammed neighbors, Mom's charity fund that was just her slush money, Ava's fiancé's fake credentials. Every file, every receipt, every transaction, all connected. By sunrise, I had everything I needed, and for the first time in years, I smiled. The next few weeks passed like a slow storm. I went to work each morning at the small diner near the highway, tying my hair back and faking smiles for customers while my wrists still showed faint red marks. Every time I washed a plate, I remembered my mother's laugh echoing in that backyard. Animals like you don't belong in this family. It looped in my head like a curse I was finally learning how to break. I didn't tell anyone at the diner what happened that night. Not even Carla, the older waitress who always slipped me free muffins for Liam. But one evening, after the last customers left, she noticed the tired way I was cleaning the counter. "You okay, kid?" she asked. I hesitated. "Just family stuff." She smiled softly. "The worst kind of stuff." Her words stayed with me as I rode the bus home, Liam asleep against my arm. I didn't cry anymore. I was past that. The humiliation had burned too deep, turned into something else. Focus. When I got home, I pulled out the old laptop again. My father always thought I was too stupid to understand his business, but I'd helped him type reports for years when I was younger. I knew his passwords, his backup emails, his hidden folders labeled miscellaneous invoices. The kind of arrogance that only a man like him had. He thought no one could outsmart him. Within days, I pieced together enough evidence of how he'd been borrowing from neighborhood investment pools, moving cash into an account under Mom's name. They'd used that money to fund Ava's engagement party, her car, her vacation, all while Mom told me to pay my own way. I didn't plan to go to the police. That would make me like them, petty, public, predictable. I needed something quieter, sharper, something that would make them feel cornered without knowing by whom. One night, after putting Liam to bed, I sent a series of anonymous envelopes. No fingerprints, no names, just copies of receipts, photos, and ledgers, straight to a few families in our neighborhood. People my father had tricked, people who trusted him. And then I waited. The first call came 2 days later when Mom's number flashed on my phone. I didn't answer. Then again, and again. By the fourth call, curiosity got the better of me. I answered with silence. Her voice came through trembling. "Did you tell them? The Parkers? The Monroes? They came to the house today. Your father? He's furious." "Why would I tell them anything?" I said quietly. "You told me I don't belong in the family, remember?" She paused, then whispered, "You have no idea what you've done." "Actually," I said, "I think I do." I hung up. That night I went for a walk with Liam along the same road where the bus had dropped us off months ago. It was cold, but peaceful. The kind of cold that clears your mind. "Mom," he said, looking up at me, "why did Grandma call you an animal?" I froze. "Because she doesn't know what love is." He nodded like he understood more than a child should. "I love you." I smiled. "That's enough." The next morning, when I scrolled through the local Facebook group, I saw the chaos unfolding. Dad's name was being dragged through every post. Investment fraud, money stolen, fake receipts. People who used to praise my family now demanded refunds and apologies. The comments section was a battlefield, and my parents were losing badly. By evening, Ava posted a long defense message. "This is all lies. We're victims too." It only made things worse. I thought maybe that would be enough. But it wasn't. Because 2 days later, Mom showed up at my work. She burst through the diner doors in her designer coat, eyes bloodshot and voice sharp. "You think this is funny? You ruined us. The bank froze everything. The neighbors won't talk to us. You—" Carla stepped between us. "Ma'am, you can't yell in here." But Mom pushed past her, jabbing her finger at me. "You think you're better now? Look at you, scrubbing tables for pennies." The entire diner had gone silent. I stared at her, every word digging deeper. "Go home, Mom," I said finally. She laughed, bitterly. "Home? You mean the one your father might lose because of you? You'll regret this. You always do." She left, slamming the door behind her. Carla came over and touched my shoulder gently. "You don't have to explain anything," she said, but I wanted to. I wanted someone, anyone, to understand that this wasn't about money. It was about dignity, about watching my parents destroy every ounce of it I had. and finally taking it back. A week later, I drove by their house at dusk. The windows were dark, the mailbox overflowed with unopened letters, and parked in the driveway was a foreclosure notice nailed to the post. I should have felt satisfied, but instead I felt a strange stillness, because I wasn't done yet. Not until I saw them face me, not until they knew it was me, the animal they'd mocked, who tore down the walls of their perfect little kingdom. So I waited for the right day. Ava's rescheduled birthday party, the one my parents insisted they'd still host to prove the rumors wrong. I smiled to myself. Perfect. The night of Ava's new birthday celebration came faster than I expected, and yet I had been preparing for it all along. It was supposed to be a fresh start, according to Mom's desperate Facebook post. A little family gathering to remind everyone that the Thompsons rise above gossip. The audacity of it made me laugh. They'd lost nearly everything, their savings, their credibility, their spotless social reputation, but still thought a glittery cake and a few smiling pictures could erase what they'd done. That night, I stood across the street from their house, clutching Liam's small hand. The place didn't look like it used to. The once white fence was now unpainted and chipped. The porch light flickered weakly. Even the banner on the gate sagged, reading, "Happy 26th, Ava," like the universe itself had grown tired of pretending. I'd told myself I wasn't going in, that I'd moved on, but the truth was, part of me needed to see it, not for revenge anymore, but for closure, for proof that I wasn't the broken girl tied to a fence anymore. "Mom," Liam whispered, tugging my sleeve, "are we going to the party?" I knelt beside him. "Not the way they think." Inside, I could hear laughter, thinner now, forced. I waited until a group of guests walked in, then followed quietly behind them. No one stopped me. No one even looked at me twice. To them, I was just another guest. The backyard was lit with cheap string lights, and the air smelled faintly of burnt barbecue. Ava stood near the cake, wearing a dress that was 2 sizes too small and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Mom fluttered around her like a dying moth, her makeup caked on to hide exhaustion. Dad stood near the cooler, red-faced and tense, pretending not to see the neighbors who avoided his gaze. It was pathetic. I slipped my phone from my pocket and hit record. Not for the internet, not for exposure, but for me. I wanted to remember their faces when it all came full circle. I waited until Mom spotted me, her face drained of color. "You—" Before she could finish, Ava turned. Her jaw dropped. "You have some nerve showing up here." The guests froze. Someone whispered my name. I smiled, calm, polite. "Relax, I'm not here to fight. I just came to drop something off." I placed a manila envelope on the table beside the cake. "What's that?" Dad demanded, his voice hoarse. "Copies," I said simply, "of the loan agreements you signed using your clients' names. I figured you'd want to see them before the bank does." Gasps rippled through the yard. Mom lunged forward, hissing, "You think you can ruin us again? After everything?" I tilted my head. "I'm not ruining you, Mom. You did that yourself when you tied your daughter to a fence and laughed." The silence that followed was suffocating. Ava's fiancé, the same man who'd thrown money around like confetti at her last party, stepped back, frowning. "Is that true?" he asked quietly. Mom's lips quivered. "She's lying." "She's not," Dad interrupted suddenly, his voice cracking. "You did that. You went too far, and now look at us." The admission stunned everyone, even me. For the first time in my life, my father looked small. Not angry, not intimidating, just broken. Mom slapped his arm. "Don't you dare blame me! She started all this!" Ava burst into tears, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "You promised none of this would get out," she screamed at them. I turned to leave. I'd seen enough. But before I could walk away, Mom shouted after me, "You'll regret this. You think anyone will ever love you after what you did?" I turned back slowly. "Love me?" I said, my voice calm. "Mom, I stopped wanting love from you the day you tied my hands." I reached down and took Liam's hand. He looked up at me, smiling. No fear, no confusion, just quiet understanding. "Let's go home," I whispered. Behind me, the chaos grew. Voices rose, arguments exploded, people whispered. The fence I'd once been tied to stood in the corner of the yard, rotting, half broken. I stopped for one last look, not out of pain, but pride. That fence was no longer a symbol of my shame. It was the monument to theirs. As we walked away, the faint sound of Mom's crying reached my ears. For the first time, it didn't hurt. It didn't mean anything. It was just noise. Liam squeezed my hand tighter. "Mom," he said softly, "can we get cake on the way home?" I laughed. "Yeah, baby. Let's get a big one. Ours." We walked down the dark road, streetlights flickering above us. I didn't look back again. The house behind me, the one that used to define my worth, was nothing but a shadow now, and for the first time, I wasn't the one standing outside the fence. I was free. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.